There's absolutely no question that when it comes to a brand, when it comes to international fame, when it comes to a pull, when it comes a documentary, as in Netflix, for example, and I mean the Beckhams are skilled at documentaries. They've done several. Uh, there is no couple that I can think of in the world that approaches the uniqueness of the Beckhams. The facts are they are probably everything that Harry and Meghan would like to be. The one exception being the knighthood that David Beckham hasn't got, and I simply say that the test of a jealous person very often is to ask if they will mention the fact that, as I believe, Beckham should have been knighted, and you find that a lot of people are very jealous. The facts, however, are that Harry and Meghan's documentary for Netflix called Harry and Meghan, and this was released in December 2023, and it was several hours long, and there's no doubt it was an enormous success. Now, if you're watching it, now that isn't surprising because the fact that they had three so-called hits, the power of Oprah, which was undoubted. It sabotaged the royal family. I mean, it was like a nuclear weapon that was aimed at Buckingham Palace, and especially with certain allegations regarding race, but there were a lot that was tremendously controversial. That followed by a series of attacks and snide comments and the like, all of which were followed by a media eager to report everything that the Sussexes were doing. The facts are that that ended up with the Harry and Meghan documentary from 5 hours, as I remember, and that included attacks by talking heads on the Commonwealth and other comments about the royal family, which were far from flattering. And also it gave people who watched it did appreciate the fact that although the Sussexes were obsessed with their privacy, the facts were that things they shared with us, the intimate texts, photographs, and so on, showed that they're pretty selective when it came to what they would and wouldn't share. Then, of course, we had Harry's memoir Spare, a whole series of interviews around it. The fact that it was a bestseller was one thing, but the tide started turning, and there's no reason now that people should bother to watch Harry and Meghan and the documentary. I mean, of course, it's low on Netflix now, but it was once high. Equally, the challenge that they have, and this is a real problem, you can't compare Harry and Meghan to the Beckhams. The Beckhams are what Harry and Meghan would probably like to be. The Beckhams also are not only extremely well established, but they are international superstars. And if you just look at David Beckham, former England captain, 115 appearances for England and numerous charitable work, whether it's helping to get the Olympics of Britain or whether it's his work for UNICEF, huge in every respect. And Victoria Beckham, of course, ex-Spice Girl, was famed as Posh Spice and launching her own brand. She's had to struggle from time to time. There's no doubt about that. But equally, if you look at the fortune list, you'll see that the Beckhams are worth, according to reports, approaching £500 million. That is unique because as a couple they are. The facts are, however, that the Beckhams and the Sussexes have had a very uneasy relationship. They used apparently to be friends, and a lot of this is hearsay. We're just relying on reports and rumours. But the facts simply are that reportedly getting together through contacts with their respective staffs in 2017. Subsequently, the Beckhams attended the Sussexes' wedding, as they had, memorably, the wedding of William and Catherine in 2011. And then we had a period where apparently Meghan was endorsing the Victoria's brand and the couples were apparently getting on in one way or another. The facts were that there began to be reports when the Sussexes married The Beckhams attended, but there were those who attended, whether it was George Clooney or Serena Williams, who, the closeness of their friendship to the Sussexes is a decided question mark. But nonetheless, it was a spectacular affair. There were reports the Beckhams weren't asked to the dinner afterwards, which is rather extraordinary, but the facts simply were that David Beckham was supportive of Invictus, as you'd expect. Victoria Beckham's brand was endorsed by Meghan, and Meghan, whilst being a senior working member of the royal family, that was one thing. But there's no doubt that the Beckhams are very, very patriotic. They're great supporters of the royal family. I suspect strongly, this is just my view, that they didn't like the way the Sussexes monetized their royal connections for gain. They also realized that if they were too close to them, given the fact that the relation between William and Catherine and Harry and Meghan were, putting it mildly, icy, and now, of course, there's a deep rift in the royal family, as we all know, that they, when Brooklyn married, for example, Nicola Peltz, they asked William and Catherine. Now we don't know apparently whether Harry and Meghan were asked, but they certainly didn't. We know that they didn't go. We also know that reportedly quite recently, there were reports that the Sussexes thought that the Beckhams, in the person of Victoria, so it's rumoured, were leaking stories about them or words to that effect. Whatever, it would seem that what was once a blossoming friendship has now descended into something of a rift. And also we know that David Beckham recently saw King Charles, and indeed, this is very good news. He is going to be, he's an for the King's Foundation, very worthy charitable activity. And Beckham, in fact, has been involved with a huge amount of charity work over the years. I mean, that is very important. UNICEF is just one part of it, but of course, the Beckham brand is absolutely unique. Catherine has, for example, she's been seen at Wimbledon with Victoria Beckham glasses. She's also worn Victoria's outfits. Meghan hasn't. She was. She isn't now. We deduce from this and the reports and rumours, and these include comments by biographer Tom Bower, that the Beckhams and the Sussexes are no longer friendly. But the Beckhams are the sort of superstar that the Sussexes desperately need. One of the problems with Meghan launching her own lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard, a sort of TIG 2, following on her TIG brand, which was what she used to do and something that she's undoubtedly good at. There's no disputing that it's likely to attract their fans, and it may well be most successful. But what it won't do, or almost certainly won't do, is approach anything remotely like Victoria Beckham's brand.